I've titled this story, No Excuses and $1 Million Smile. If we are lucky, at least once in our lifetime, we will come across a story that shakes us to our core and wakes us up to the infinite possibilities the gift of life offers. On September 29th, 1997, the world experienced an anomaly. It would take a quarter of a century for the entire rest of the world to become aware of what had happened all those years earlier. Early life was difficult for our story character. Born with caudal regression syndrome to an unfit mother and no father in the picture, it appeared all the odds were stacked against this baby boy. Before ever leaving the hospital, he was thrown into the foster care system. Over the years, 17 of them to be exact, he was not only disabled, but also a foster care kid. He was labeled a problem child and was forced to endure inhuman treatment throughout the first 17 years of his life, with scars both external and internal to prove it. Bounced around from home to home, around 13 of them in his 17 years, this now young man was approaching the age-out limit for the foster care system. Facing homelessness as a potential outcome, an unlikely hero emerged. A foster mom. Somebody from the foster care community was aware of. Was told about a unique 17-year-old boy needing a home. They basically told her they were getting ready to throw him out of the system and asked her if she would take him in. Fortunately, she said yes. The young man was adopted, and things started falling into place. His grades came up in school, and a sport he loved became an outlet for his inner turmoil. Despite losing and failing at his chosen sport over and over again, his newly adopted mother refused to let him quit. She was teaching him a lesson that would soon begin to serve him well. After an early abysmal record that would have most of us throwing in the towel, this young man started winning. Crediting his mom for helping him turn his life around and making him aware of his potential, he began to really believe in himself and all of his losses, all of his failures, and everything he learned along the way began to pay major dividends. The former loser quickly became a known winner and soon became a top 3 talent in his sport. I remember minor glimpses of this young man, of this world-class wrestler with no legs, but it wasn't until last night that I became fully aware of his story, and I immediately knew I needed to write about him. Originally born Zion Zachariah Daniels, now known as Zion Clark, this incredible young man with a no-excuses mindset and $1 million smile humbly made his way onto the America's Got Talent stage. I watched in awe as he told his story and introduced himself to the judges, the audience, and the AGT host. With one of the most radiant and positively infectious smiles I have ever experienced, I watched him proudly and matter-of-factly tell his story. Expressing that he had no idea why the parents he never knew named him Zion, he stated that he did know Zion was a mountain mentioned in the Bible where people supposedly went to protect themselves from the evils of the world. He then stated, "I know about the evils of the world." As he began performing acts of superhuman strength, he told his story. He talked about surviving 16 years in the foster care system. He talked about the physical and mental abuse he endured by those who were supposed to protect and nurture him. He then spoke about how society's expectations said he would never amount to anything. Triumphantly, he explained how he chose to walk on his two hands rather than the wheelchair they put him in. As he performed one endurance feat after another on the stage, in front of the judges, the audience, and millions of viewers, he boldly told his life story. This young man chose a life of no excuses, and as I watched him, I began to think about some of the excuses that I've used throughout my lifetime, and decided almost instantly that every excuse I have ever made, no matter how valid, no longer has a place in my life. And that is a choice I was able to instantaneously make as I watched in absolute wonder and awe at what I was witnessing. From this day forward, I will no longer make any excuses in my life. And every time I even begin to think of doing so, I will remember the $1 million smile of one of the most incredible human beings I have never known, but was fortunately exposed to because of the superhero mother who adopted him and his commitment to live a life of no excuses. And finally, I want to express my gratitude to the producers and judges of America's Got Talent for creating an incredibly diverse and inclusive environment that's changing the way we look at each other as human beings. I highly recommend you check out the AGT episode on YouTube. My final question for anyone listening to this recording is, what excuse or excuses are you now ready to let go of to become whoever or whatever you choose? Reclaim your power. Stop making excuses. Start right now. And remember, as Zion says, anything is possible. I hope you enjoyed this story. This has been Bobby Kountz, the Earth Artist. Thanks for listening.